Good evening, dear students. Welcome to the last class of Watchmen of the Lake. We have been discussing Watchmen of the Lake for last 5 classes, and today we are going to discuss the last scene, that is scene 5. So what did we learn in the previous class? That is in the scene 4th. We saw how Mara sacrificed his life to save the entire village, to save the lake and to save his people. So what was the wish that he asked the king? He asked the king, or he requested the king, that after his death his son should be the watchman of the lake. He requested him to make his son Ganga as watchman of the lake. Not only that, but he wanted only his family members to continue that sacred duty of guarding the lake. So this is what we learned in the previous scene. Yes, before going into scene 5, as usual, let me give you the meaning of the new word that I gave you in the previous class, that is downcast. So what is downcast? You can call it sad, depressed, unhappy. And it also has another meaning, that is directed downward or directed downward. How can we use this in a sentence? How can we use this in a sentence? Downcast expression, very dull, unhappy expression. For instance, he walked through the door with a glum, downcast expression. You must not be downcast. I thought you were looking a little downcast this morning. That is little sad. This is how the word downcast can be used in a sentence. So now let's walk into scene 5. So here, as I said, we don't have Mara here. Here we are going to see the son of Mara, that is Ganga. So Ganga too behaved in the same way how Mara was behaving regarding the lake. Ganga also takes this duty very seriously, and he too works honestly just like his father. He guards the lake in the same way how Mara was guarding the lake. This is why Mara said that it has to be guarded from his own family members. Why? Because they get the training from childhood itself. We have seen in scene 3 how Mara trains his son Ganga. So that's why even Ganga learned how he needs to guard the lake, how he needs to take the responsibility in his younger age itself. So now look at the scene 5. Where does the scene take place? In front of a shrine on the lake. So while discussing the background of the story, we saw that there was a shrine. It's about the same shrine. In front of a shrine on the lake, Ganga and his son. So Ganga has grown up now and he has a son now. So both of them were standing, Ganga and his son, and there is a shrine on the lake, which means a shrine was built on the lake. Ganga calls his son, son, come here. Son, coming father. So which scene do you remember? Which scene can be remembered here? So scene 3 can be remembered here, where Mara was calling his son Ganga. But now in the same way here, Ganga is calling his son. So the name of the son of Ganga is son. Okay, see that? Yes is capital there, which means that is a proper noun here. Son, coming father, he responds to his father's call. Ganga, where were you all this time? In the same way, how Mara was asking question to Ganga, in the same way here Ganga is asking question to his son, where were you all this time? son, I was watching the girls flying over the lake, father. So he was watching the birds, girls is birds, which was flying over the lake. He was enjoying that sight, how they skim and catch the fish. So he was enjoying, or he was observing the birds which were flying over the lake, and he was just looking at them, how they skim, how they fly and catch the fish. It is lovely to watch. He says he was enjoying the nature and he loved it. He loved that scene. Ganga, well, didn't you know this was the hour of worship at the shrine? So Ganga asks him, how can you be so irresponsible? Don't you know that this is a time of worship at the shrine? Son says, father, I forgot. Son has forgotten to worship here. So that was the time of worshipping, but unfortunately son had forgotten that and he was watching the girls there. So Ganga got angry on his son. So son says, father, I forgot. Ganga, don't forget again. That is all I can say. Here Ganga is being very strict, and now he has started training his son. Look at the way. This is how it goes on. This is how this duty has to pass on from one generation to another generation of Mara's family. Now Ganga is training his son in the same way how Mara trained Ganga. Don't forget again. This is all I can say. So you should not forget such things which are very important. Worshipping is very important. So you should not forget such things. I will be very angry if you miss another worship. Ganga is being very strict now. He says, I am going to punish you, or I will be very angry if you miss another worship. You shouldn't be so irresponsible. You are old enough to realize your duties, I think. He says, you are not so immature that you cannot understand or realize your duties. So you are old enough, you are matured enough to understand your duties and responsibilities. I was less than your age when I was ordered to take my father's place. Look at that. He says, I was too young when I was made the watchman of this lake. I was less than your age when I was ordered to take my father's place. When I got this responsibility, when I was made watchman of the lake, I was too young. Even my mother was away somewhere. He says he was all alone, because when did we see Ganga for the last time? We saw him in the third scene, right? Mara and Ganga, they both go inside the hut. And Mara says to the king that his son was still sleeping inside the hut. So that was the last time that Ganga saw his father Mara. So he says he was all alone when he was given this responsibility. Even his mother was not with him. She was somewhere away. The last I saw of my father was when I went to bed. This is a reference to scene 3. He says he saw his father for the last time, that is when he went to bed. When I woke up in the morning, the hut had blown off. He didn't know what had happened that night. He says when he woke up in the morning, the hut was not there. The hut had blown off because of the storm and flood, and the lake was nearly rolling over the shore. It was upon the bank, because as I said, it was raining so heavily and it was almost a flood. And whom should I see as soon as I got up but the king? When he got up, who was there? Who was standing in front of them? So when he got up, the king was standing in front of him. He didn't see anyone, but the moment he woke up, he just saw the king who was standing in front of him. He said, my father was no more. So king told Ganga that his father was no more, he was dead. And immediately after that, he ordered Ganga to do his father's duties. So he told Ganga to take the responsibility of the lake, and he made him watchman of the lake. Soon after that, after making Ganga watchman of the lake, soon after that, the king built the shrine. He built the shrine which looks over the lake. So he points at the shrine which is built on the lake. And on the day of dedication, he was himself present. You see those two figures, son? Or there are two statues inside the shrine. You see those two figures, son? The one on the top pedestal. He describes that. So there are two figures inside the shrine, and the one on the top pedestal. Pedestal is foot of a statue. So the one on the top of that foot of a statue, the guardian goddess of this lake. So there are two figures, there are two statues. The one is the guardian of the lake, which is on the top of the pedestal, and the one immediately below it is my father. Look at that. The another statue that is of Mara's. So Mara was treated equivalent to the goddess because his sacrifice was commendable, and he saved lots of lives, and he saved lots of people by sacrificing his own life. So the king built a shrine for both the guardian goddess of the lake and to Mara. By the king's order, so according to the king's order, or as per the king's order, performed on the evening of every Tuesday. So by the king's order, worship is performed on the evening of every Tuesday and Friday. So this is important. So worship on the evenings of every Tuesday and Friday, and scores of people come from even distant towns for it. Look at that. Just to worship here, numbers of people come from different places just to pray and just to worship the goddess as well as Mara. So here Mara is not at all an ordinary person. Now he has become a god to everybody. So just analyze or just compare the first scene and the last scene, how he was and how he became. So he sacrificed his good deed that made him stand in the position of the god. So scores of people, numbers of people, they come from even distant towns for it. You must not miss a single one henceforth. He says, even people from different places, they come to worship. In that case, how can you miss the worship? So you must not miss single one henceforth. From now on, you should not miss even a single worship. And son says, yes, father. He agrees. Ganga, good boy. When I am gone, you must watch over this lake. Look at that. He says the same thing to his son, how Mara said to Ganga. When I am gone, after my death, you must watch over this lake. You have to take the responsibility of this lake. And after you, your son. Now come into the shrine and see the worship. So now, they both go inside the shrine to worship. So ringing of temple bells. So it shows Mara's sacrifice remains eternal, forever. The person who was once called mad became God at the end. So this is the story of Watchman of the Lake. So now let's recall right from the beginning. So in the scene 1, what happened? We have seen how Mara was dominated and insulted or humiliated by the headmen and village people. He was even called as insane or lunatic. He was struggling to meet the king. Why? Because he wanted to convey the message of goddess to the king. And in the second scene, finally, he succeeded in meeting the king, and he conveys what he wanted to convey. And he says, or he conveys each and every words that were uttered by the goddess. So he says how they need to take care of river Veda, and as per the command of the goddess, the king agreed to build the tank or lake for river Veda. And he also talks about, and he also describes, Mara also describes the sacred spot. Again, you have to remember that is important for 4 marks. And then in scene 3, we have seen that Mara was made the watchman of the lake, Even the king found him worthy of that. So Mara does that work honestly, and he takes care of each and everything, whatever happens there. He handles everything. And then we have also seen how responsibly Mara behaves and how he treats the fisherman and the visitor. And in the fourth scene we have seen the second appearance of the goddess and how Mara tries to convince her and how he tricks her at the end. And finally he comes to the king and he asks him to cut his head off and just to save the entire village. And without any other option, without any alternatives, the king does so, and Mara saves the entire village by sacrificing his own life. And in scene 5th, we witnessed how Ganga trains his son. So this is all about Watchman of the Lake. So now let me give you the questions which can be asked for 4 marks. So you have to answer these questions, and all the answers are there in the textbook itself. So let me read it, just listen to me. So write about Mara's dream in Watchman of the Lake. We have already discussed that. You can refer second scene. So what was Mara's dream? Or what do you think about Mara's dream? We have already discussed that it signifies that man is constantly exploiting nature, and the goddess is telling them to save water, or what happens if they don't take care of water. So this is all you have to include. So write about Mara's dream in Watchman of the Lake. Second question, what instructions did Mara give his son about the lake and the creatures? Again, that is in scene 3. The answer is there itself, just read that, that's enough. So what instructions did Mara give his son about the lake and the creatures? What was that instruction? He said that nothing that skims or flies there, that shouldn't be, any creatures or walks, that shouldn't be harmed. So you have to write that in a detailed way, okay. Include all the points which are discussed there in the scene 3 related to the training given by Mara to his son. What mythological story did Mara narrate about the sacred spot to the king? The one paragraph that I told you while discussing second scene, where he describes the sacred spot, okay, Sanjeevani, Lakshmana and Hanuman. So what does he tell about these things? It is there in scene 2. So just you have to refer that one paragraph and write that one paragraph if you get this question. What did Mara tell the king about the tank on the stormy night? You have to refer the 4th scene for this. Next question, give an account of Mara's vision of the goddess on the night of the storm, second appearance. This is about second appearance, how she was looking. Give an account of Mara's vision of the goddess on the night of the storm. You have to refer 4th scene. How did Mara save the lake? Again, you know that, by sacrificing his own life, but again you have to summarize the 4th scene. Next question, why did Mara meet the king for the first time? Second scene. You know that, to convey the message of goddess, again you have to write what happened there, what all he said to the king. How did Mara manage to meet the king for the first time? Again you have to refer the first scene and also second scene. How he was caught by the village people and the workmen, and then what did the headman order Bhima, and how did Mara escape from Bhima, and where was he? Waiting for the king. So you have to mention all these things. Describe the circumstances that prompted Mara to meet the king on the stormy night. You have to again refer the second appearance of the goddess and what happened and why he comes to meet the king in the stormy night. To tell about the destruction of the bounds. How did the king respond to Mara's information about the command of the goddess? This is about the first one. So he agreed to build the lake. Again you have to explain that. Describe Mara's reaction to the goddess on the stormy night. Describe Mara's reaction to the goddess on the stormy night. So how he begs her, and then how he tries to convince her, and what he did at the last, how he tricks. So you have to refer all these things. What did Mara request the goddess and the king to save the lake? You have to, again the same answer. How he convinces the king to kill him, and the suggestion that was given by Mara to the king, you have to mention that, and how he convinces the goddess. So you have to club these points. So please try to answer these questions, and definitely it will help you. Yes, I hope you understood Watchman of the Lake, and please go through the lesson or drama so you will understand in a better way. Yes, fine. Let's call it a day. Thank you. Take care of yourselves.